Okay, so I want to go ahead and show you guys here the advanced methods or training, whatever you want to call it, for kind of looking over my shoulder. And I don't have my viewing my video down there right now because I just want to have you focus on, what I'm doing and what I'm looking at here as I evaluate, for example, tonight's slate in NHL. So, because a lot of these sports, not very seldom, very few people are familiar with every player in every sport. And myself, admittedly, I don't know a lot of these players or much about them in particular, but I can know and figure out how to handle and manage them and construct lineups in my NHL lineups, even though I've had some bad nights because it's sort of a learning curve. Because as you may know, or at least know now, I'm an expert in fantasy football. That I have, if you follow my blog or whatever, or, whatever you follow of me or my videos, that my weekly profits, as I'll hopefully show and display to you sometime, like on my FanDuel and DraftKings, maybe a summary for the whole year as far as profits in terms of maybe having only like one loss because I took unnecessary risk or something like that. But just want to show you here, instead of rambling on about that, how to get into other sports that you can kind of look and evaluate different players. Now when you look at here on FanDuel in the NHL contest, what I did is I ordered this up in terms of fantasy points per game. As you can see here, these goalies, because they're the highest scoring position in hockey, it's going to show you what average of how many fantasy points per game. So when when you think about something, though, choosing goalies, when you're going against a certain player, like, if you take Boston, that's this guy's opponent for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Boston um, is going against a good goalie, so averaging 21.7, the most fantasy points per game on tonight's slate of activity. So, and Boston is playing. Actually, I believe this is not correct. I don't believe it is this guy. Well, it could be. Let me see. I just got to check my phone for the potential starters, as this will be updated there throughout the day. Right now, it's about noonish. So, but it could be the starting goalie. You have to confirm these, like on dailyfaceoff.com. Just going through. One second. Blue Jackets, Boston. Oops. So Boston, yeah, is showing this guy named Rask, Rask, that he's going to be the starting goalie, not this particular guy. For whatever reason, he had some bad games, some zero output performance. And if this guy was starting, though, and I noticed that through looking at these numbers, I would probably try to attack against him with my good goalie and my other teammates of him on the Columbus Blue Jackets. But that's not the case. The Rask guy is somewhere down here, I'm sure. Let's see. Here he is. This is a starting, so you have to figure out who can confirm who's the starting goalie, as well as a whole starting line in NHL, from the wingers to the centers and the defensemen. So what I would do here, and just looking at this, is that try to figure out, getting back to my point, as I'm looking through the daily lines and how much, projected goals on Roto Grinders. You can order them up according to, when you go to that site, whenever. I'm not going to do it now, but projected goals, the over-under, the money line, seeing all that. And I can see, for example, Pittsburgh has the biggest money line in favor of Matt Murray, who should be on this list here somewhere. Here he is. Overall 74 draft rank, and he's pretty hot, as indicated here by this icon. So you could fire him up in many formats, because their opponent, Colorado, their money line is a 143, of course, which in terms of odds, the least amount of chance of winning for that particular night. So you get an idea of that. The point is that you just start how you start to prepare and think about things ahead of time. To choose your goalie, make sure you have actually eliminated, whatever you need to when you have watched some players. Some of these guys like I do, and you can see here that I've targeted them. I've already highlighted them in red, watched the players, and then I just went through also into the other positions. And so starting with this particular winger here, also for Pittsburgh, the highest implied point, team total for the night. Kessel, 17.5. It's pretty good for a winger. And you could do the same with here, Brad Marchand, as he's hot, more hot so than Kessel because he's got the icon indicating the opposite. But so for Boston, you can fire them up and play these guys. As you can just, if you want to kind of decide whether in terms of playing a tournament or like a cash game, which is more of a 50-50 or head-to-head or something, more of a chance of doing so, then basically you can go ahead and try to see about finding, through this means right here, looking at these three numbers at least, or you can even click on his name and look at all of his games and see and try to determine through a visual aspect or perspective. Last three games, this winger here, he had a good game, a pretty decent game, and a not so decent game based on 23, 14, and 5 FanDuel points scored. So then you can compare him to, okay, maybe he's at a higher risk of actually taking at 7,700 than this guy Marchand, who's consistently performed at least 15 points over the last 3 games, right? So that's what you got here. And then this is indicated here that his matchup is not great either, this Philadelphia winger playing LA. So these are the determining factors you try and look at. And of course, you try to stack guys in the same front line as well as the power play. As I've talked about in other previous videos, you can take a look back on when you're setting your NHL lineups. So just want to make sure I was clear on some of that and the preparation that it takes before leading up to game night and game time, and how you do and choose, some of these players here, including, of course, goalie, looking at your opponent, defensive rank, and all these things here that you can do on a draft dashboard. Visit the link on the bottom of the page. You can find this video, of course, if you have done so, and keep up to date, all right? Thanks for watching.